I want to start this video with something that I think a lot of people can relate to. Maybe you've been cheated on. Maybe you've been tempted to cheat. Maybe you're sitting there wondering how anyone could do this. And I want you to imagine this for a second. You meet someone new. You definitely weren't looking for anything, and you're definitely not looking to blow your life up. But this person listens to you. They're curious about you. They laugh at your jokes, and they make you feel seen in a way that you haven't felt seen in a very long time. In today's video, we're going to talk about cheating, okay? I have never been cheated on, at least not that I know of. Maybe I have been. I don't know. I've never cheated on anyone, but it's something that I have thought about and something that led me to have certain conversations in my current relationship about opening it up that I will get to later on in this video. In case you're new here, hi, my name is Ali. I'll introduce myself first. On this platform, we have some casual conversations about sex, relationships, and other fun stuff. And I am a sex education student with the Sexual Health Alliance. So for the past couple years, I have been reading a lot, I have been learning a lot, I have been listening a lot, and humans and relationships are quite complex and dynamic and fluid. And I recently have been listening to a few lectures about cheating, and I think it's something that's worth talking about because infidelity happens a lot. A lot of people think it's rare, maybe because it doesn't happen to you, or maybe it does, but you don't know. But it happens. And it is so stigmatized and shamed, especially in North American culture. And I'm gonna get into culture later on in this video because the way North America looks at infidelity is quite different than the rest of the world. But yeah, it's looked at with shame and stigma and so on. And because it happens so often, I think it's important that we stop and look at why. Why does it happen? Why are people doing this? So that's what this video is going to be about today. Hopefully it resonates with you. And as usual, if you have anything to share to the conversation, please do in the comments. And I also just want to preface that this video is not about defending cheating, okay? It is about understanding it so we can have better sex, better communication, and live more honestly with ourselves and in our relationships. So we're going to talk about why people cheat, how common is infidelity, what sex therapists like Marty Klein or Esther Perel have to say about cheating being a symptom, what it has to do in terms of our desires, our identity, and our long-term relationships. And again, how our culture, especially North American culture, shapes how we judge infidelity. Let's get into it. All right, so how common is cheating? Now, again, a lot of us think that it's rare because it doesn't happen to us, but research and the data tells us a different story. Now, according to psychological studies that are summarized by the Science Daily, published by Université de Montréal, represent, I am from Montreal, they found that up to 68% of people have thought about cheating. That's not a low number, okay? That's like more than the majority of people. And when we talk about people actually engaging in infidelity, we're talking somewhere between 39 to 41%. And of course, it depends on how you define infidelity. Is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it digital? There are many different ways. It can be quite subjective depending on the person or the relationship that you are talking about. And it's not just men either, all right? Statistically, men have been known to cheat more, but according to research cited by Esther Perel, somewhere between 1990 and 2017, female infidelity has risen 40%. So yes, the gap is closing there, and people of all genders, whatever you identify as, are straying more and more these days. But why? Why? I mean, the question can't be anymore, what's wrong with cheaters? We have to look at a question that's more about what's going on underneath that's making people act this way. One of the biggest myths about cheating is that it is purely about sex. Now, according to Marty Klein, who is a sex therapist, educator, and lecturer, someone I had the pleasure of sitting in on his lectures and learning about all this exciting stuff, out of his 30 years plus of experience working with couples and infidelity issues, he claims that cheating is a symptom and not the root problem. Klein explains that people often cheat for many different reasons. Unmet emotional needs, identity conflicts, attachment wounds, feeling unseen, undesired, or constrained. He emphasizes that people don't usually cheat because they're sex crazed or immoral or have some kind of sex addiction. They cheat because something in themselves or in their relationship is unresolved. Now, keep in mind that this doesn't excuse cheating, but it explains why it happens even in relationships where love still exists. Now, this is where Esther Perel adds a powerful layer. So if you don't know who Esther Perel is, she is like a world-renowned sex therapist. If you go on YouTube and write her name, you'll probably see one of her most popular TED Talks about infidelity. She also wrote a book called Mating in Captivity. I highly recommend you read it. It is a great book. And she reframes infidelity in a way that makes people a little bit uncomfortable, but also deeply understood. Now, I'm gonna drop a bomb on you, okay? Please be open-minded when I tell you this. So she claims that infidelity is not necessarily about wanting somebody else, but wanting a different version of yourself. Crazy, right? This really speaks to me because I have felt that on levels with different people. I always say, different people make you feel different ways. Some people make you feel really fucking shitty about yourself, and other people make you feel really, really great about yourself. Anyways, I digress. I'll get back to my own personal opinion on this after. So in long-term relationships, we are basically asking one person to give us safety, emotional security, companionship, consistency, and erotic excitement. But here is where the tension lies. So love wants closeness and predictability, but eroticism and desire crave novelty and mystery. So over time, relationships usually become emotionally stable, but erotically flat. So when people cheat, Perel claims that people are chasing aliveness, autonomy, curiosity, a new way of feeling desired and seen, adventure, excitement. And this is not because their partner is bad or the person is morally broken, because something inside them feels dormant. And I can relate to this. Let me know if you can. I'll give you an example. My partner and I, we have been together for about 6 years. And from the moment we started dating, we were already kind of open because we were playing together. We would play with women, sleep with women together. And over time, desires, fantasies, things like that change as you evolve, as you grow. I noticed that I was craving something a little bit different. I was starting to want to experience what it was like to be with a new man again. And before I met Gab, my partner, and when I met him, I had this like erotic energy inside me, this like flirtatious, devious, flirty, erotic energy that was like a fire inside of me. And I loved that energy so much. And naturally, over time, I felt that energy get a little bit dormant inside of me. And so this year, I was craving that again. I was like, I know I have it inside of me and I want to reactivate it. And as much as I love my partner and he makes me feel seen and desired and all that, it just like wasn't the same. Like I was just seeking something a little bit different, which is why I suggested that we open up and start playing separately, which is something that he was open to doing. But my main goal was to find that energy inside myself again, that little fire that I knew existed. So when I say like igniting something that feels dormant is a reason why some people cheat, I can relate to that. But obviously I did it consensually because I had these conversations with my partner. I didn't do it behind his back. So when we look at how cheating shows up for men and women, it could show up in different ways. For example, so for many women like myself, cheating can be about reclaiming some kind of erotic identity. That's what it was for me, among some other things. I know from personal experience, speaking with some friends of mine and so on who are in heavy caregiving roles and so on, they want the opportunity to feel wanted beyond their caregiving roles, emotional labor or partnership roles. And for many men, cheating can be about escaping the pressure to perform, provide, and always offer some kind of stability. And instead, feeling effortlessly desired. I know someone who is in a relationship, who is seeing someone in a relationship or who's married. Don't be judgy-wudgy. And, this man had told her that he enjoys spending time with her because, she's not financially dependent on him. And so he really just enjoys having this free fun with her and spoiling her and so on because it doesn't come with any kind of strings attached. That hits home a little bit in terms of this point. And I did speak online to a few married men. When you're in an open relationship and openly dating online, you will come across people that are married, hoping that they're honest about being in a open relationship or a consensual, ethical, non-monogamous relationship, and they're not lying, But I did come across one or two who were honest about them being married. And honestly, one of the reasons why I spoke to them was because they were honest that they were married. Yes, it was, I guess, wrong of them to be on there and their wife doesn't know or whatever, but I commended them for their honesty of being upfront because they wanted people to know they're like not looking to leave their marriage. They're not looking to fall in love. They are just looking to escape the pressure of the day-to-day and looking for some fun, some relaxation, someone to talk to, maybe have some good sex with, and just like enjoy a little free time. So yeah. That's a real thing. And again, these were just conversations that I've had with people online. I haven't actually, I still don't know if I ever will like sleep with someone who's married. I don't know yet. That's something ethical that I have to work out on my own first. Anyways, that's besides the point. So Esther Perel doesn't excuse infidelity, but she asks us to look at what it gives people, not just what it destroys. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, I really just want you to keep an open mind here, okay? We're just talking about it. We're just having a conversation. Again, in terms of my personal position, I want to be clear here. I've never been cheated on that I know of anyways. I've never cheated, and I don't necessarily condone lying. Now, lying and cheating can be incredibly damaging to yourself and your relationship. But after the last couple of years of studying sex and relationships, relationship dynamics, and so on, I can see that it's not exactly black and white. I understand why people might still love their partner, want to stay with them, build a relationship with them, grow old with them, but also simultaneously want something outside of that. I'm going to quote something else that Esther Perel says, which is that it's not necessarily about replacing your partner. It's about connecting with parts of yourself that feel lost. And again, that was one of my big reasons for opening up my relationship. Again, we did that consensually, but yeah, I wanted to reconnect with parts of myself that I was missing. It had nothing to do with my partner. It had a lot to do with me. The real issue is that shame and stigma push these desires underground instead of into honest and ethical conversations. And also, I think that having some experiences outside of your relationship can be really good for your relationship, okay? Because if we don't experience things, if we don't learn from people, if we don't try new stuff, we're not growing and we have nothing to add to ourselves, our relationship, to contribute, to grow, and so on. But if you are experiencing things, then you can bring those into your relationship. I will give you an example. So one of these gentlemen that I was just chatting with, again, never met him, just had an honest conversation. This person who said he was married, which I appreciated his honesty. And we got into like a little sexting phase. And because I'm so used to, because I've learned and I'm so used to having conversations around sex and intimacy and so on, I'm very upfront about, is it okay if I talk about this or if I fantasize about this stuff? Like, what's a boundary for you? Is that weird for you? And so on. I always ask, consent and so on and limits. And he was like, oh, I don't have any boundaries. I was like, that's not true, And then he said, actually, I don't know what my boundaries are. Like, no one's ever asked me that. He's been married for 25 years or something. And I just thought that was so interesting because this conversation he was having with me was so refreshing to him. And he's never had a conversation like this with anybody. It just opened his eyes a lot to certain things. And no doubt he's going back home and thinking about this and maybe having new conversations with his wife about their relationship, about their sex life, and so on. Part of me felt good about that, about teaching this human this new way of communicating so he can go and improve himself and his life with his partner. I think that's pretty nice. Last point that I want to touch upon is culture. Is cheating viewed differently across different cultures? Yes. Now, this is where I would like your input if you live in these places, if you have experience in these places, because again, this is from what I've read, from research that I've done, but I would love to have firsthand experiences from people. If you have lived any of these experiences at all, please drop it in the comments below. So, in North America, infidelity is viewed as a moral failure, a character flaw, a personal betrayal that should end relationships. Why? Because we romanticize monogamy. We expect one person to meet our sexual needs, our emotional intimacy, our validation, our novelty, our safety. Now, in other cultures, infidelity definitely exists, but it's often less moralized, less tied to identity, and more quietly tolerated if core structures stay intact. So I'm talking about the family unit, financial security, and so on. So for example, in Japan, emotional infidelity can be considered more serious than sex. Sex is often seen as just a physical release. Affairs can live more quietly without public moral outrage. Long-term marriages often prioritize stability over passion. Another example is in Southeast Asia, infidelity is more quietly tolerated and ignored if financial or family roles are still upheld. So the difference is not whether or not people cheat, it's what cheating actually means. So when people say cheating is the worst thing you can do, that belief is cultural and not universal. Understanding this will reduce shame, open up conversations like this one that you and I are having right now, and help couples ask better questions like, what does fidelity mean to us? What needs aren't being named? Is this about sex, honesty, safety, or all three? If we want better sex, better communication, and more honest relationships, we need to talk about desire, identity, and unmet needs before it turns into a secret. If this resonated with you, please let me know in the comments below. And if you've ever questioned desire, fidelity, or long-term love, you're not broken, you're just human. Speaking of culture and love and sex and all those things, if you are interested in supporting my channel and joining a new community, you could join my Patreon community. I will link it in the description below this video, but there you can get more access to me on my Patreon. I share a lot of different cultural and travel content because me and my partner love to travel. And I have a lot more BTS behind the scenes content, unfiltered, raw footage about stories that I like to share, about some, experiences that I've had, sexy ones, unsexy ones, and just life stuff, So it's a great way to get closer to me. And it's a great way to support the channel because, if you like this kind of stuff, then it would be great to have your support, whether it's free, whether it's paid, whatever. I appreciate all my patrons and my YouTube community so much. I hope you enjoyed this video and I would love to hear what you have to say on the topic. I know it's a hot topic. I know people got a lot of opinions about it. So let's get those comments going. Thanks for watching, everybody. Je vous aime. Bye.